Now to wrap this up briefly, the three different kinds of birds still alive today, these three brought in. And there's one that I didn't talk about yet, but I'll recap. So there were the ratites, the ostrich family. They are an old kind of bird, ostriches and things like them. We have fossils going back 55 million years, but we know that they're old because they have a lot in common with birds from the Mesozoic era, from the Cretaceous period. Although we have no fossils of actual ostrich family, of actual ratite fossils, we know them as being a very old kind of bird. They had things in common with Cretaceous kinds of birds that went extinct. Well, then there were fowl. We have lots of fossils of those from the Cretaceous period. It's just that, well, they all died off, except that, well, we have that one kind of fossil, duck, from the very end of the Cretaceous. Anyway, fowl, too, are another category of very old kinds of birds. Well, so there are a couple few hundred species of fowl, a couple few hundred species of ostrich family of rat-type birds total that still exist today. A few hundred here, a few hundred there. Well, the total number of species of birds going today amounts to about 10,000 or so. I mean, that's a lot of different kind of birds. So this means that, well, fowl, there's just a few like that. Ostrich family, well, there's just a few like that. These are the oddballs, these old kinds of birds. Well, so everything else, most birds, by far, the other 9,000 and some species of birds going today, are the neo-avians. The neo-avians, neo means new, and avian means bird. The new birds. Well, so these seem to have nothing in common with what they find of these birds that went extinct in the Cretaceous period. It was something new. Something new happened, but at least one kind of bird must have come from that period, because the new birds, the neo-avians, are just too different from fowl and too different from ostriches. They have some kind of ancient ancestry going back to the late Cretaceous period. We just don't have any fossils of it. Well, one thing about the neo-avians, they tended to be rather smaller, and some of them got big, but most birds, if you think about, they're these little Tweety birds. Well, that'll be a neo-avian. These Tweety birds out there. Okay, well, so what about the new birds? What's new and different about the new birds? Well, one thing, these are birds that have no penis. There are no penises to a male neo-avian, unlike the fowl or the rat type. Well, there are other things too, but that's one easy to understand one. If you talk to the zoologists, they'll get into all kinds of bone talk and talk about metatarsals or something. This is hard for me to talk. I mean, that language is hard for me. So we'll just leave it at that. They just kind of rub their cloacas together. Anyway, also, this is where you actually get monogamy as something of a fairly common practice among the new birds, not those old birds. Unlike animals generally, and unlike other vertebrates for that matter. Very unusual, but very common among neo-avians, monogamy. All right, well, so those are the three different kinds. Ratites, the ostrich family, fowl, the delicious family, and everything else, neo-avians. Well, so there are so many different kinds of neo-avians that, well, it's just too much to talk about, really. So I'll just have to save that for later when we actually have class together. And this concludes our discussion of the three broad categories of birds alive today.